Hey everybody, welcome to the Rhizocast. Today we are looking at Jason Kreiter, Toyboy, #1 from Continuity Comics from, let's see what year this is, 1986. So this is Neal Adams. Growing up, I knew his name. He was famous for doing stuff in the 70s, which to this day I really haven't looked at much of it. His Batman run and his X-Men run. He's also well renowned for his covers, and I think he did was it the one of the Marvel crossover things. I think Marvel DC crossover, the Superman Spider-Man thing, is pretty critically acclaimed. Anyway, he has kind of the Image style before Image comes around. It's very dynamic and everything. And this is kind of continuity in general is kind of maligned for some reason. I've never quite figured out what that's about. They are of their era, I would say. I never read this one when it came out. I did read some of the Megalith books and the Armor books and Samurai. But this one, it's called Toyboy. So this comes out when I'm 11. I have no interest in something like that. I got this, as a dollar bin type find. And the art is really cool. These weird robot designs are good. The writing is fine. Like the word choice and everything, it all works. But I think if this had come out a few years later on better paper, it would look even better than it does. But as it is, I think it looks pretty good. So the basic story is there's this kid. He's more or less the richest man on Earth's son. And as a hobby, he makes robots. So, and he's trained. He has personal tutors for all these activities, for karate, for horseback riding, for literature, all this stuff. And he's building a giant robot there. And very rarely, it seems, gets to spend time with his father. I don't think they really address where the mother is. I'm assuming she's dead, or maybe they will eventually reveal he's a clone or something. Doesn't really happen in this issue. I guess this was the mother. And this is interesting. He's saying, hey, big guy, nothing too good for the best dad in the world. Hardly the best son. I guess I won't know that until I'm all grown up. I keep reading about kids whose parents are rich. An awful lot of them are spoiled and rotten and waste their lives. That sort of means if I turn out all right, or maybe even terrific, even though you're rich, then you must be the best dad in the world. Ha ha ha. And he is making him a fancy coffee and all that. Helicopters arriving at the house in the middle of the night, and he's going and playing with his robots because he's having trouble sleeping. Ad for Bucky O'Hare. I've never actually read this. I think I read one of the portions of it in Echoes of Future Past, in the 80s. so I don't really have memory of it. I know that people talk good about it a lot, and I probably should check it out at some point. So here's the reveal. His dad is actually an arms dealer, and not only that, he's kind of like a dirty arms dealer. So maybe this is some kind of a reference to Iron Man at the time or whatever. Hard to remember when it became renowned that the Starks were a war machine culture. And he goes, he sees it, he accidentally knocks something down. These guys are ready, or thinks there's a spy ready to kill somebody, but he's like, oh, it was just my kid's toy, no big deal. It just fell off the table. And he's trying to figure out what he wants to do about it. He's like, he says he looks to see if they're in some kind of money troubles, if that's why his dad is selling these arms. But he says no, dad's still the richest man in the world and getting richer all the time. Then why is he doing it? The mixture that Neal Adams has of realistic and cartoony, it's really great. More Bucky O'Hare ads. And I'm guessing this is airbrushed color, which was not common in 1986. So he's going to go and try and check out and figure out what's going on. He's not quite ready to go head to head with his dad over it all. He gets his chauffeur to go out with them in the middle of the night to check up what's going on there. He has a tractor trailer hooked up to the limo that it has his robots inside. And then so he's checking things out. He sends his chauffeur off to call the police because this is up to no good. And then he gets out his fighting robot outfit that he's been working on. It's an ad for Crazy Man. Don't really remember. I know I read this as it came out, but I really don't remember anything about it. In that way, I will say that could be some of the malignment against continuity, is they are not really that memorable. But when I look at the thousands and thousands of comics that I've read, what percentage of them are memorable? That shouldn't be a real reason to have something against anything, as far as I'm concerned. And, there's nothing overly exciting about the art. It's not having things break out a panel or anything, but it's solid. It's good. I understand why, when you compare this to a lot of the house style stuff, that Neal Adams was superior to most of his peers. And so Toyboy's getting in a fight here, standing up against these revolutionaries / terrorists from a foreign country that his dad's selling guns to. Ad for Armor and the Silver Streak. I kind of fondly remember that series. But once again, as I said, kind of slips away. And then here's Megalith, who I'm under the impression Megalith is the main character of continuity. He's the most popular character in it. Um, so he's coming and he's breaking open the airplane. This is, you have to have the guest star to help sell your book, I guess. A little bit, the panel work is a little more exciting on here when we turn into action. This, I do not know that I ever saw this in person. I would buy this. Bernie Wrightson and Bruce Jones doing a book called Freak Show. I probably should research and see if that ever came out. Definitely if I saw that in a dollar bin, I would pick it up. So yeah, Echoes of Future Past. That's where Bucky O'Hare originally is. And we're seeing a bunch of other things for sale. So it's like comics, portfolios, movie posters, and this is the stuff you can get from Continuity. I do think they had a distribution issue when a lot of stuff was still people getting things on newsstands. I think they may have been comic book specialty store only, which 1986 I am still mainly getting stuff off the newsstand. There's occasionally go into flea markets and stuff and finding books like this there. So this is the same art that's used for the cover. Why draw it twice if you can get away with drawing it once? And I do actually kind of appreciate that the cover is actually something that happens inside so many comic books. That's not true. And here he is. He meets Megalith. He calls him Toyboy, and he's like, "Oh, Toyboy." So he decides that'll be his name. And the police are there to fix everything up. And so he sneaks home, and he meets a new teacher that he'll be having, and doesn't really confront the dad and find out what's going on about things. And that's it. The end. Samurai was the female ninja book that they were doing. That was this 1986 is an era when American Ninja and all that stuff is coming out and it's popular. Anyway, these continuity books, you see them for $1 or less all the time. The art is pretty much always solid. The story is, to me, this story was way more interesting than I anticipated. That's why I bothered reviewing it. Toyboy, it doesn't sound like it would be good at all. It sounds like it's going to be really immature, but, his father's doing the evil industrialist thing while this kid doesn't even know. I mean, it's an interesting story. If you feel like checking it out, you should. Not too much to say on this one, because not too much social commentary really in a meaningful way on it or anything, but it does showcase Neal Adams' art, and getting to see his art, I would say this is pretty much in one of his primes. Getting to see his art there is worth it for $1. So if you do see one and you haven't picked them up, I would pick up a continuity book. Thanks.